Welcome to a football show Thursday edition, Titans Coaching Search 2.0 edition. It is officially underway. That is Nick Suss of the Tennessee, and I am Braden Gall. And we are brought to you by Sinkers Beverages, 5-time liquor store of the year. Great place to go get all your alcoholic needs and non-alcoholic needs. For those of you participating in Dry January, they have non-alcoholic beer, they have THC beverages, they have all kinds of mocktail stuff. And Nick, we have established that only one person thinks that it doesn't count as Dry January if you drink THC. Only one person. And we both get text messages from that person during the show.
Yeah, I mean, I'm reserving judgment because I don't know. I don't know what the rule would be. I have never consumed anything similar to that substance. So that's not sarcasm. I just truly don't know.
Well, it's totally legal in the state of Tennessee, of course, and you can purchase it at Sinkers Beverages. I think dry is a word related to alcohol. And so if you are not drinking alcohol, as long as you don't drink alcohol, I think it counts. So that's it. Sinkers Beverages, if you do drink alcohol or if you don't drink alcohol in January, they've got all your needs. 5-time liquor store of the year. Fantastic place to get to. All right, we're going to look at the playoff games later on. We'll do some rapid fire because I don't know about you, but I am genuinely excited. I didn't know how I was going to feel about this college football playoff structure, the way it's set up, but 5 straight nights of playoff football sounds pretty good to me. I'm pretty excited about it. Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, Monday night, going to be a lot of fun. So we'll go through all those games, except for Saturday night for me. That's going to be totally miserable, but we'll get to that later. Obviously, we'll go through all the candidates. They've had 11 official requests at time of taping. Thursday morning, we're recording this at 9 a.m., as we always do. They've had 11 official requests. We'll work through all of those, and then a bunch of other names. We'll kind of go positives and pluses and minuses for all these candidates. We'll look through what Borgonzi actually wants. Can he get rid of the Chiefs' bias? That's what he said he wants to do, and a lot of stuff. So we'll go through and rank kind of all these candidates in our 2.0 kind of conversation, Nick. Otherwise, how are you, man? Good morning.
I'm good. I am working a lot. I assume you're working a lot too. It's a busy time of year, but I'm glad to spend this hour not texting people.
I'm very excited about this. I'm just buoyed by the energy around the Titans organization right now, because the coaching search is copium, baby.
Yeah,
they are selling you copium every day now.
I will start off by saying it's the time of the year, inside baseball journalism stuff, where you kind of start rereading all the stuff you wrote last year that you thought was good to submit for like awards and recognition and stuff.
As one does.
And so I was reading a lot of the stuff I wrote around draft time last year, around GM search time last year, and around the start of the season, and kind of reflecting on what people were saying about the Titans and the hope or lack thereof, or trust or lack thereof in the organization. I will say the tenor of the conversations this year does feel a lot more rooted in, I feel like there is some core competency than the stuff I was writing last year.
Yep.
Whether it was the GM search where it was like, who the heck is in charge? Whether it was the draft season where people were like, I don't know, is Cam going to be any good? Why should I believe in him? Or whether it was the start of the year when I wrote that big story about hope and everyone was like, I just think they're going to fire Brian Callahan by the time it's the Patriots game. And then they fired him before the Patriots game.
Yeah.
All of the coverage does feel now like the fan base. I don't want to speak for media. I don't want to speak for outsiders. I don't want to speak for coaching candidates. But the people who are tweeting and consuming about the Titans do seem to have a little bit more, I think something good is going to happen here. And that's a refreshing thing to be surrounded by. Good kudos, guys.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I'm very energized by this. I love palace intrigue also. That's just my favorite, the human psychology of leadership and decision-making around leadership and front offices and head coaching staffs and locker room culture. I'm fascinated by all of it. So lots of stuff to do today, of course, on the show. Good morning, fellas, says Bustin. What are your thoughts on Stafanski? Seems to be a very split opinion on him between the fan base. That's a silly thing for the fans to be split upon. He has 45 wins as a head coach, all of which came in the Cleveland Browns organization. And I believe they have 13 head coaching candidates, like with former head coaching experience. And only 2 of them have more wins than Kevin Stafanski. And those 2 names are people I don't want them to hire. Jason Garrett and Mike McCarthy. So we'll get to all this stuff. Eddie, good morning. Come on, you Gunners. Stafanski, Kingsbury, and Saleh are my top 3. Of course, Harbaugh number 1, but he feels like he's already a giant. That probably makes sense. Let's see here. If Steelers get knocked out in the first round, is Tomlin gone? Maybe. We don't know. We don't cover the Steelers, but it's possible. It's possible. With the way the John Harbaugh thing went down, I wouldn't be surprised at anything at this point. When you've been around that long, sometimes you just need a change. It doesn't necessarily mean anything is broken. Okay, so that's what I want you guys to contribute today on the show. I want you guys throwing out names. We want you guys sort of jumping in with your opinions on this. Please share the show if you're watching, retweet, share it on Facebook and YouTube, please. Thumbs up, notifications turned on, etc. First thing I want to say, and I think this is partly why I am energized, which I rarely get for a fan base. That's not how journalism works. It's not how reporting.
Right.
But like, here's the thing. I hope that I am like PK sometimes, a little cynical and a little grumpy and a little incredulous about certain things that happen on the internet or trends that happen in sports. I try to stay that way so that when I am really excited or feel very positive about something, that you all know listening that it is so genuine and so real that you can't help but kind of like come along with me on the journey, right? And I think you can do this exercise. You can look at the 11 candidates that they have officially asked to interview and like 15 more, 7 or 8 more coordinators, 7 or 8 more defensive coordinators, a bunch of former coaches that aren't actually on the list yet, I assume will be. They are in such a good place if they can pick the right person, because you can put any top 5 list together that you want as a fan or as a reporter. And I can still below the line of what I find to be great and acceptable, I can still put good candidates. Matt Nagy is like number 7 on my list. If they end up hiring Matt Nagy because like we work our way down the list and I get to number 7 on my list, like that's still a really good place to quote unquote settle. Is what this is a very deep pool of candidates. There are lots of different types of candidates. And I think should they have the right people making decisions, they should be able to find a very good football coach on this list. And that to me is a positive place to be for the Titans fans.
I agree. I was thinking about this yesterday, and we're at 11 names. I've got probably 4 or 5 more on my list that we will see if they request or end up interviewing. And I've been saying all along 10 to 15 or 12 to 15 is probably the number I expected them to stick at. We're getting close to that way earlier than I thought.
With a bunch of names we don't want to see hired.
But that's what I was going to say. There are only 2 or 3 names on the list that I would look at and think, oh, that's a bad decision.
Yeah.
There are some like Raheem Morris is a true neutral. I truly have no idea if that is a positive or negative. The guys that I would look at and I'm like, we're going to zoom through the negatives and the pluses and minuses on these guys because I think we can all agree nobody is really beating the table for Steve Spagnuolo, Lou Anarumo, and Jason Garrett. But
I think Anarumo is more interesting than that.
But if that is the bottom tier,
right,
your floor is still a little bit higher than the average candidate pool. I give them credit for that. We will talk about this a lot more later, but I don't want to get ahead of us. This is the most predictable thing as a guy who has covered a shocking amount of coaching searches in the last 15 years. This candidate pool is exactly what I should have stuck to my gut on when they fired Callahan in October.
Yeah.
Like this is the exact candidate pool that you would have expected this specific team to go after, and good on them for doing it.
So here's the other thing, and I agree with you. The other thing is the current list of 11, outside of the 3 that we got this morning, technically, which is Robert Saleh, Arthur Smith, and
Jeff
Hafley. Smith and Saleh in particular, it was a fairly uninspiring list. And the key is it's all timed out based on when you can interview these guys, and you can interview the 1 seeds, you can interview the wild card. Like there's all kinds of rules on when you can interview. We've gone through the rules on the show with PK and with you. So like, let's not overreact to the current list. If you hate it, there will be more names. If you love it, there will be more names. So just don't super overreact, because again, if the bottom of the barrel, in my opinion, like of the guys with former experience, let's just stay in that category hypothetically here. Mike McCarthy and Jason Garrett are 2 that I'm just like, I don't want them. But one guy won a Super Bowl, and they have a combined like 250 wins between the 2 of them. And those are the guys that I think are unqualified, like that I don't want. So I think that reiterates the point, because all the other names that I kind of do like, almost every one of these guys with former head coaching experience, which does seem like the top priority for Mike Borgonzi. At least it's not the end all be all, but like that seems like the thing they're valuing. Almost all of them have losing records. Almost all of them. None of them have really nice win-loss records in general. John Harbaugh. Okay. John Harbaugh is an elite coach. Again, Stefanski might be my favorite candidate of the entire pool, and he's 45-56 in Cleveland. Now in Cleveland, that's pretty good. So again, I think they're in a really good spot. I think they have the right person making all the decisions inside the football part of this organization. I think it was only a matter of time before everyone in the building, from what I understand, realized this is the guy for the job, not the other folks. And I think to your point, I think they're in a better, more professional, and more trusted position than they have been since, and I said this on Monday, since like mid John Robinson, like 2019 John Robinson. Like I feel like this is the best situation they've been in at that position since then.
Yeah, I'm encouraged. I'm feeling good about the candidate pool. Let's just get into it. Well, let's stop preambling. Let's go candidate by candidate. Let's talk about.
I want to know Borgonzi, because I wanted to talk Borgonzi here, and I want you to tell me, do you think it is possible? Because he has said this, and I respect him saying this. You've got to put your personal biases to the side. And I see this with lots of Titans media. I see PK and I have talked about this. It is hard not to just connect people who have worked together, both as coordinators and general managers and coaches, but they all know each other. They all know each other. Everybody knows everybody. So just because you didn't work with a guy doesn't mean he's not going to be a coordinator. But you do have to put the bias aside if you're Mike Borgonzi. And I respect. Do you think you can do it?
Yeah. So I wrote about this earlier in the week, and I think that something that's very interesting, something that is worth examining. Let's talk about the current best situations in the NFL. You can talk about the Chiefs. You can talk about Andy Reid, who his current GM is a guy he's worked with since he was in Philadelphia. You can talk about the Buffalo Bills, with their general manager and their head coach having worked together in Carolina before getting to Buffalo. You can talk about the Detroit Lions, who linked up a general manager who came from the LA Rams organization with a quarterback who came from the LA Rams organization and brought that identity with them. There is a lot of case to be made for the power of relationships, the power of continuity.
There's also knowledge. Sorry to interrupt. Isn't that also the power of knowledge?
Yeah, it is. There's also the flip side of this argument, which is, for 25 years, everybody tried to be the Patriots. Not a single person, not a single organization ever did the Patriots better than the Patriots did the Patriots. We've heard all of this talk about the Packer way, the Ron Wolf model. The only person who has ever actually effectively replicated what Ron Wolf and Ted Thompson did in Green Bay is John Schneider in Seattle. Other than that, Scott McLuhan broadly failed at 2 stops. John Dorsey broadly failed at 2 spots. Reggie McKenzie flamed out. The existence of that tree, not entirely replicable. We can go through all of these examples of dynastic things you try to copy. You're always going to get a worse copy. So the idea of Borgonzi saying, I want to recreate the Chiefs, which is not what he has said. I asked him that directly on Tuesday, and he said he does not want to do that. But the idea of, just go get a coach from the Chiefs, go get some people from the Chiefs, go get people you're familiar with. The best case scenario here is you are a discount version of a thing that's on the way down. That's the best case scenario. You're not
if you're doing the I'm trying to replicate.
Yes.
Thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you are just saying let's wholesale use their model.
Yeah.
You're going to be competing with people who are better at using their model than you're going to be.
Yeah, you can't beat them at their game.
Yeah. So
unless you're Mike Vrabel, you're the ironically the only person that can recreate the Patriot way is the Patriot way is Vrabel. But anyway, go on.
Right, but that lasted for what, 3 seasons that it worked?
No, I'm talking about right now.
Right now, yeah. But I'm saying we'll see how long. Nobody's going to do it for 25 years like Belichick and Brady did. I think the thing that Borgonzi's doing, and I give him credit for this, is prioritizing figuring out what is the Titans model. And if that means bringing in people he's familiar with, it's going to look bad. It's going to look real bad.
Am I not wrong that I thought he said, I want to take the model and apply it to the people here, or like use the people here to tweak the model? Wasn't there something about that he said? I thought he said, like, I want to take, it wasn't like parts of the model or lessons from the model, but I thought he said something along the lines of like, what we, and again, this is just normal stuff. I'm going to take what we learned and then apply it to the people here and make sure it all fits together. Like,
the quote as I have it transcribed is, I'm looking to create the model for the Tennessee Titans. I learned a ton of things from where I was in the past. I've taken certain things on how we evaluate players and how important the coach is during the process and how we do certain things. But this is our team here, the people that we have. I've certainly learned and benefited from a lot of the stuff in the past, but I think we have a group here that's been in different places and we want to make it our own. So It's less about taking that and applying it with people here. And it's more about taking the people you have here and using what they've done before.
Last one here before we get to the candidates and some comments, which is, how is his head coaching experience clearly the top thing that they are looking for? Is that going to be the number one trait that they want and will pass on a coordinator for head coaching experience, in your opinion?
Sorry to be glib. Sorry to be glib. I think the number one trait they are looking for is not Brian Callahan. And like, there is some tried and true, like, this is not a knock. This is my fifth like major football coaching search that I've covered. And if I'm going to run through them very briefly, I covered when Georgia moved on from Mark Richt, well-liked, everybody's favorite person guy.
Very interesting coaching search.
Offensive-minded, nice guy, likable guy, and replaced him with Saban clone 1.0 Kirby Smart, the most gritty football guy possible.
And correct me if I'm wrong, was not going to fire Mark Richt until South Carolina said, yeah, we'll hire Kirby Smart.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
I was in Baton Rouge when LSU moved off from Midwestern schemer, indirect, mercurial Les Miles, and went with down home country boy, recruiting is all that matters, local boy made good Ed Orgeron.
Yeah. I grew up in the swamps.
I was in Oxford, Mississippi, when local boy made good Matt Luke, everybody's favorite person, nice guy, was replaced by known potential snake in the grass Lane Kiffin, because they valued scheme over personality. You totally flipped that. And I was here when it went from Mike Vrabel, old school, traditional, gritty, leadership, power football, to Brian Callahan, scheme-focused, modernize the team, quarterback whisperer type.
Gentle parenting is my Brian Callahan.
Anytime that you move on from a coach, the first thing you look for is, hey, what bothered me about that guy? And who's not going to bother me in that way? The Titans have identified the traits about Brian Callahan that I do not believe they liked in a football coach. Not about Brian personally.
Right.
But in a football coach, the having coordinator brain over CEO brain. I don't think that's what they want this time. Okay. The focusing on individual scheme over leadership type. I don't think they want that this time. And the inexperience on the head coach's part and the coordinating staff's part, I don't think they want that this time. Yeah. So if you look at the list of people that they reportedly have not reached out to, the Clint Kubiaks, the Chris Shulas, some of the hot names of first-time candidates.
Jesse Minter.
Yeah, this is not to say that just because Clint Kubiak, Chris Shula, and Jesse Minter are all coaches' children with famous last names who have never been NFL head coaches before, who are scheme-focused, who are ascendant, it's not to say that that disqualifies them.
Mike LaFleur
you
count?
Don't.
Does a brother count?
I don't know. But it does strike me as fitting, and this is what I was alluding to before, that had you asked us in October, why did they fire Brian Callahan? And we gave our 3 or 4 answers as to why the Callahan era didn't work. And then you look at the list of 11 candidates right now. I'd say 9 or 10 of them embody the characteristics that the failures of the Callahan era disembodied.
Anarumo and Halfley, and even Halfley's been a college head coach to some degree. So basically, like me, the Titans are Cali sober, is what I'm hearing. If Matt LaFleur is let go by Green Bay, let's get to some comments here, then we'll rank the candidates. What are the chances he ends up in Baltimore and Harbaugh goes to Green Bay? As a Green Bay Packers fan, I would be totally fine with that, but that is the only reason I would ever move on from Matt LaFleur. I assume he is not going anywhere. You think a coach like Chris Shula, whose defense was originally built around Aaron Donald, would be enticed by Jeffrey Simmons and the Titans? I think that's fair. That's not why you make a decision. But based on some of the metrics that are coming out about Jeffrey Simmons' season, he is one of the top 3 to 5 selling points to a new head coach, in particular one from the defensive side of the ball. You have a bona fide superstar if this continues with Jeffrey Simmons.
We'll also point out, I don't believe Shula ever coordinated the Rams defense while Aaron Donald was active.
That's a good point.
He was a pass rush coordinator, and he worked with Donald, obviously, but he was a position coach when Donald was there. So he has seen it work. He has experienced the value of having that type of player, but he never designed a defense around him.
Jason says, what makes Saleh a better candidate than Arthur Smith or Matt Nagy? And this gets us kind of right into the conversation, which I think is a good way to start it, which is there's different positive traits about those 3 guys. 2 of them very clearly offensive-minded people that come at it a little bit more from a scheme standpoint. If you've ever talked to Arthur Smith, this is largely a football nerd. It's not that they're all not football nerds, but Robert Saleh is a little bit more of the culture, personality, psychology, leadership glue guy. And if what they're looking for is someone who's more of a CEO with culture and leadership and less of a scheme and an offensive play caller, those are the differences. It doesn't mean that one's better necessarily than the other one. But I think in that group right there, I actually like Arthur Smith as an option more than other names. And I actually think Arthur Smith is the last name you have to put on a list. If you just, every list you make, whatever yours is, Nick, and whatever mine is, if you just put Arthur Smith as the last one on the list, I think you can get him. I think he would be pretty decent. And I think that you don't have to go any lower than that. So again, back to having a good pool of candidates. Saleh wants to fight. Go ahead.
Can I jump in right here?
Yep.
I am intrigued by Smith and Stefanski specifically when we're talking about what I was just talking about of anti-Callahan. It's funny how you can just age into not being the thing you used to be. Arthur Smith was hired in Atlanta because he was a really good offensive mind, because he was a really good schemer. Stefanski was hired in Cleveland because he was a really good offensive mind, because he was a really good schemer. And then Stefanski's offenses in Cleveland were wholesale not that good. And Smith's offenses in Atlanta were wholesale not that good compared to the rest of the league. Not top 10 offenses year over year. I know talent is a factor. I know talent's a major factor. But wholesale, they did not have the success that people expected them to as schemers. And now they are CEO types. And now it's you're not hiring them because of their offensive mind. Sure, they have the offensive mind, but you're hiring them because they have this experience, because they've done it before. And this is not a criticism of that. It's just really interesting that that's what happens.
I would just, I'm not disagreeing with your point. I would say that Stefanski has aged into CEO as a 2-time coach of the year. I think Arthur Smith has not yet. I think you're hiring him because you know everything about him, and he's a really good offensive mind. with laced with some experience, right? Hey, you're not going to do some of the things you did in Atlanta. Ideally, you learn from those mistakes. I don't think Stefanski, he's already gotten all the mistakes out of his way and shown that I think he's a little bit more of a CEO. That's a minor nitpick.
To be fair, and I'm using heavy scare quotes for those of you who are not watching live, nobody on the search committee worked with Arthur Smith while he was in Nashville.
Yeah,
all 5 of the people that Borgonzi named are new to the organization. So they might not be as familiar with him as Amy or Burke or some of the other people behind the scenes.
Which brings up Ed's comment. Interesting that Burke Nihill name not included in the interview process. Maybe just it's Amy fully trusting her football people. Burke Nihill should not be anywhere near the football process. With all due respect to Burke, he's a perfectly fine guy. Got the stadium deal done. Great at business. He is not a football guy, and I've talked to him about this. He's like, I don't want to be a football person. So there were some times when non-football people were in charge of some of these decisions, and they ended up with Rand Carthon and Brian Callahan.
Oh, dang. Good call in the comments there, LCT. Mike McDaniel has been fired as head coach of the Miami Dolphins.
There you go. I'm still trying to get through all these comments. Look at all you folks. Let's see. There really is a personality that comes with offense and defense a lot of the time. That's a good point. Let's see here. Mike McDaniel fired. Yeah, there you go. Look at that. Kurt Cignetti to the Raiders. I don't think he's ever leaving. Harbaugh going to take his talents to South Beach now. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people saying he's going to South Beach. So there you go, Mike McDaniel. That's an interesting one when they're asking general manager candidates like what you think of a new coach when they still have one. That was an interesting report I saw. Okay, so I would put Mike McDaniel on this list along with Stefanski as well. Just as he's not near the top, but like I think he's on there. PK also reported, by the way, that I think Mike Munchak would be interested to come back as well. I think he's more of a offensive line coach, something like that, where he can come in and kind of just do some good stuff. I think McDaniel as an OC would be great. I don't know if he'd be willing to take that. I think there would be interest in him from a coaching candidate standpoint. All right, give me the names that you were like, I'm upset this is on the list, or maybe not upset, but like I have my doubts as to why this is happening. And I think that there are a few that are already on this list so far. So this is the bottom. We're going to start with the bottom.
Spagnuolo.
11-41 as a head football coach. That's it.
He is the bottom of the list for me. And if there's a really good sell on why a coach who every year there are retirement rumors, who was the second worst winning percentage of a coach who's coached 50 games in the Super Bowl era. If you want a guy who is not coaching the best defenses of his career right now, I think all of it adds up to he does not make sense as a head coach anywhere except for maybe New York with his familiarity there. And even then, you're hiring a coach who immediately the clock is going to start on, well, how much longer is he going to do it? Yeah. And a coach whose upside is he's been a head coach for parts of 4 seasons in the NFL. And those 3 years with the Rams can make an argument the worst 3-year stretch any team has had of just like pure sadness ended up with Stan Kroenke buying the franchise and moving them.
Yikes.
Like it was a really bad stretch there. And none of that is talking about the fact that I just don't necessarily like leadership qualities. All of those are there. People love him. You hear the stories about spaghetti night and all of that stuff. You're going to have to turn around a franchise that is in the dumps, and he could not do that in the past.
And Bustin says Spagnuolo's big draw is he blitzes a lot. They don't have any people to do that on the roster, though. That's the problem. I don't necessarily hate the blitzing strategy, but that's not how this depth chart has been built. We don't have any pass rushers. Jason Garrett is in that list for me, too. Next up on the list. I'm with you on Spagnuolo.
If Jason Garrett is the candidate to be the next Mike McCoy, of just like he comes in as a senior football analyst,
right.
I wouldn't hate that.
I agree.
If he's a true candidate for head coach,
the only argument you can make is like, oh, his style of offensive scheme, sort of that West Coast-ish, Coryell thing, is like that could fit Cam Ward. Like that's the only argument. He a good record, 85-67 as a head coach, but hasn't been coaching in the league for 6 years. Like, should
also note that his last year in Dallas, the Cowboys had the number 1 offense in the NFL by yards per game and yards per play.
There you go.
And he's not a bad and then he goes to New York as the offensive coordinator for 2 years, and they're 31st back-to-back years. It's talent and translatable, but not as bad of a coach as people think.
Jay Martin says Bucks getting rid of OC and quarterbacks coach. That's Grizzard, I believe, has been fired today as well.
And Thad Lewis,
There you go. Let's see here. Exactly what Caribbean Daniel says. Exactly. I was saying yesterday Garrett will be a consultant. Okay. Who's up next on the list? Is this the Anaromo, Vance Joseph, Raheem Morris group? I think Jeff Hafley is overvalued in all of this. I'm too close. I'm too close to the situation, probably. But
I'll say I like Vance Joseph. He's more close to the mid tier than the bottom.
Okay,
for me. Anarumo, I don't quite get unless he is truly that magnetic of a leader. He's somebody I haven't done clearly enough research on, but people like him. People in the NFL circles think highly of him. He's coached 1 top 10 defense ever as a coordinator. Like, you're not getting a guy who's going to come in and fix anything schematically. You're really going to need to lean on good assistant hires for him. And he's one of the only people in the candidate pool who has never hired assistants. So that makes it really tricky to think super highly of him. But the one thing he does have truly in his favor, you can argue he's been the best playoff coordinator of the last 10 years. His teams show up in the postseason.
Yeah. Vance Joseph is a very solid candidate. I'd put him in the B group, says Caribbean Daniel. I have a hard time, says Forrest, seeing Garrett leaving his broadcast job unless it's to be a head coach. That's a good point. And this is an interesting one here. Ed Henry says, I wonder if Stefanski has had any discussions with Vrabel about his time with the Titans since they spent a year together in Cleveland. Here's the thing. Going back to they overlapped for a year. None of these people have to work together to know each other. They all know each other. They all have each other's cell phone numbers. And here's the other thing. And I'm not saying I know this specifically about Stefanski and Vrabel. I guarantee you that every single one of these candidates has talked to Mike Vrabel. I can almost guarantee it, that they all just send a text or a phone call and say, hey, man, in fact, I would not hire them if they didn't do their diligence on the Titans. That almost is disqualifying if you don't do that. So I just want to the Saleh McDaniel requests wishcasts in the comments. I think that's a great way to end. If you were to end with Mike McDaniel as your OC and Robert Saleh as your head coach, I think you'd be in really good shape. But okay. Matt Nagy, I feel like also with Arthur Smith, those two are I don't think you need to go below those two. I think those two are break glass in case of an emergency, and you're still going to probably have a pretty good offense. I feel like is that the fair way to look at those two guys? Experience, not terrible offenses. They've learned from their. Am I wrong on this?
Nagy to me is the ultimate tabula rasa candidate right now. I truly have no idea what to project onto him, especially with him saying in that Athletic interview last week that he does not plan to call plays, that he wants to be a true CEO, that he wants to sit at the top of the castle and build a program rather than bring a scheme with him. If that is the case, maybe he brings an assistant with him from Kansas City and they replicate the Chiefs system and you have the whole Cam respects Mahomes, let's try and do that aspect. That'd be cool. But Nagy, more than anybody else, is somebody right now who I'm I have no idea what qualities he'd bring with him. Yeah. His qualities seem to be, I want to lead, and not a knock. That's all Mike McCoy was saying too. He's just going to have to be more effective than what the last couple of guys have been doing. I respect what Nagy achieved. I respect the fact that Nagy was able to retain Vic Fangio in that defense early on in the Chicago days. I respect all of these things. I truly don't know what to expect versus Arthur Smith, who I still think I have a foundational understanding of what Arthur would bring with him, what type of candidate Arthur would bring with him, what kind of offense he would bring with him. Nagy, it's really tough to say. And that's not a knock. That's just realistically, we're going to have to hold our tongues for a week or two until he hires an offensive coordinator, until he hires an offensive staff, before we can make judgments on what Nagy's trying to bring with him.
Yeah, I think, by the way, Nagy, 34-31, one of the only three former head coaching candidates that has a winning record. The other two are Garrett and McCarthy. So just worth noting that he was able to produce a winning record, took Trubisky to the playoffs, etc. Right? Yeah, I think that's right. I think I tend to agree with everything you're saying there. Can a serious candidate, Stefanski, push back on Amy's involvement, i.e. Monday phone calls? I don't think that's being involved, by the way. I think having a meeting with your boss is not being overly involved as an owner. Is she hearing the feedback that head coaching candidates are afraid to work with her? This is from Spencer. Look, I am of two minds on this. I think everybody has an opinion about the relationship they have with their boss and how involved they want their boss to be. Some like involvement, some don't. I don't think it actually is a thing that affects this particular situation. I also understand that you want to know how volatile the building is going to be down the road. So it's kind of one of those where I think it matters, but it doesn't really matter. I don't think having a phone call, and just to use your example, Spencer, I don't think having a phone call with your owner after each game is meddling. If the owner's sitting in on scouting meetings and telling you what you need to do on a personnel level or a scheme level or contract discussions, that's where you start to go, okay, maybe you're out of your lane here, Amy. I think just having a weekly sit down with your boss is not that big of a deal. Am I wrong on that?
No, I don't think that's wrong. And also, we can say whatever we want about what Amy is saying or promising. There is nobody to hold her to account
Right,
for
right,
this.
right.
She gets to decide what she's going to do. She's in charge. So if she wants to have meetings, she's going to have meetings. If she wants to not have meetings, she's not going to have meetings. Like, there is no fail-safe here to say, oh, well, you promised me this. Well, I'm in charge. That's how the person in charge gets to be.
Right, exactly. Caribbean Daniel says, I know very little about this Coryell system, Air Coryell, if you're going to call it something, that y'all have mentioned. What exactly is it? This was Don Coryell with the Chargers and Dan Fouts. It's based on timing and rhythm. It's a lot of vertical shots down the field, stretch the field, kind of create mismatches with speed. That is why I think people think Cam Ward would be very good in the system, which is kind of similar to what Shannon Dawson ran at Miami to some degree. He's got some like offshoot kind of, it's influenced by the Coryell system. It did revolutionize the passing game back in the 70s for sure. It has been obviously evolved a number of times over. I actually don't know if I think Cam Ward plays down that, like he's great down the field in the middle of the field, but not necessarily outside. So I don't know. Any thoughts on Air Coryell?
Yes, there is a great book that I can recommend for anybody listening. I have it right here. It's called Blood, Sweat, and Chalk by Tim Layden. It's about 10 or 15 years old, or maybe older than that at this point. But it is a history of football through the formations and schemes that changed the league. It is a great read if you ever feel like you are behind on what some of these old school formations refer to. And funnily enough, when people talk about the West Coast offense, it is unclear whether that name should be applied to Don Coryell's schemes or Bill Walsh's schemes. So a lot of the times when people say, oh, Jason Garrett comes from the West Coast, that is Don Coryell, that is Bill Walsh. Those are totally different schemes. One is more short passing, drag routes, mesh routes, timing.
Think slant routes to Jerry Rice and John Taylor versus deep shots to receivers and Kellen
Winslow. Yeah. Don Coryell's offense is much more similar to what you would consider the modern air raid.
Yeah.
And the Bill Walsh West Coast, which was started in Ohio, is much more similar to what you would compare to the Shanahan-McVay model.
Yeah, that's right. I do think I think the Shanahan McVay model is actually better for Cam Ward. A quick release, accuracy over the I think that's a little bit better for his skill set. But what do I know? Weekly meetings with your boss are a pretty helpful tool, all things considered. Even if your boss is wishy-washy as Amy, says Bustin' Diamond. How much pressure is on Sean McDermott, says Jay Mart. I think there's some pressure, but we'll see about how they play against Jacksonville this week. Give the Colts another bad season, and they're coming for her next. Okay, let's see here. I'm trying to get through all these comments. Apparently, according to PK, Munchak wants to come back. Would be interesting to float as a candidate if they would consider him, says Eddie. Not as a head coach, no. I think you like him on the staff, similar to Jason Garrett being an analyst. I would love to have Mike Munchak in the building. I think he is an asset that helps. Okay, let's see here. What else do we got? Okay, there's a lot of you in the comments. I'll try to get to some of you guys here in a minute. Sinkers Beverages, by the way, please go support Sinkers Beverages. There was a comment earlier about my dry January and not being allowed to use THC, and I respect the opinion that, yes, I'm trying to be healthy, but there is no negative side effects to THC. Medically, there's no. It helps you sleep. You wake up refreshed, and you can buy it at Sinkers Beverages. There is no addiction, physical, but I don't. The science is in on this stuff. I don't know why I need to explain this. Sinkers Beverages, everybody. If you are still sipping on some bourbon or a nice glass of wine or some good beer with your friends, which is very good for your health, by the way, not because the alcohol is good for you, but because the socialization that takes place with a little lubrication is actually great for all human beings. It's how civilization started in the first place. So go to Sinkers Beverages, drink a beer or two, maybe have some THC, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's great. 5-time liquor store of the year, craft beer, walk-in fridge of the year, et cetera. Okay, let's see here. Pittsburgh fans are probably angry because the owner won't fire Tomlin. There you go. All right. Okay, so let's get to this couple. Here's my question about Anarumo that I'm going to tie into the other guys. I don't. Is it Campanile? Is that how you say it? Anthony Campanile, the defensive coordinator?
That's how I've been saying it, yeah.
So I think he's in the same category. I don't think I know a whole lot about him. I don't know a lot about the culture or the personality, what he brings to the table. The defense is solid, but it's not great. At times it's been very, very good. I don't think I'd put Anthony Weaver in that category as well because I'm kind of out on him as a candidate based on I think the job's just a little too big for him. But like, there's a lot of other. Who else is in that boat of like I'm just not sure. I don't really know. We're all just guessing at this guy.
Sorry, just phone call, reporter
Okay.
stuff.
Okay. All right.
Keep talking. I'll talk in like 20 seconds.
Okay. Well, so again, I think there's Clint Kubiak. I think we know more about Chris Shula. I think we know a lot more about Jesse Minter. He's been a defensive coordinator for so many years, college and pro. There's plenty of guys we kind of have a feel, at least a guess, as to how they're going to function as a head coach. Certainly, I'm trying to look at the other names: Davis Webb, Mike Kafka, Zach Robinson, Mike LaFleur, even Matt Burke and Aiden Durde to some degree. We don't know much about these guys. Of the coordinators, who are the ones that are like the black box where you have no clue, and who are the ones that you feel comfortable predicting what they're going to bring to the table?
Oh God, I'm a bad predictor. I don't feel comfortable making too many predictions about any of these guys. I like Matt Burke. I've said that before. There aren't that many offensive coordinators who I'm super thrilled about right now.
I have one.
Who you got?
Clint Kubiak's the only one I'm really interested in.
Yeah, it's not a good period because I don't think there's anybody who's been on the job for longer than like 3 years right now among offensive coordinators in the NFL. I think Drew Petzing was one of the longest tenured offensive coordinators in the NFL coming into this year, and he was in year 3 in Arizona. Like, it is slim pickings for up and coming offensive candidates who have earned it without ever having done it before. Among the defensive guys, like I said, I like Burke. I could be talked into Campanile, but I think Campanile's just like a lesser version of Halfley right now, just Halfley 3 years early. It's not too many. The veteran candidates who we know more about make more sense for this team than the risers.
So if we're going to go down this list here and try to just for the lack, I don't love doing like podcast rankings. Like, it's not necessarily my favorite thing, but I think it is hard to not have John Harbaugh, Kevin Stefanski, and Robert Saleh as your top 3 candidates. Like, I don't know. You may not get those guys. They may go somewhere else. They may not be interested. Am I wrong to not have those 3 as the top 3 here?
Yeah,
I would have Brian Flores at 4, and I know they're not going to hire him. So
yeah, I'd have Flores ahead of a couple of those guys, but neither here nor there about why they won't do it. But
ties to the league's law office.
I think that yesterday when somebody asked me who were the 3 or 4 people that if I had to guess right now, just like gut feeling, who makes sense, who checks all the boxes, who is attainable without being somebody that we think is going somewhere else. The Dolphins thing complicates it, but Stafanski was the one that like felt in that zone of attainable with still being the top candidate at certain points. I thought Halfley was probably the best of the never done it before candidates who, if they wanted to go after somebody, and I felt like what you were talking about with Arthur Smith, Nagy was the floor of, if that's the best you can do, don't go below that. And so those were the 3 names that I was kind of feeling yesterday. I'm going to feel different names the more I talk to people, the more that the days go by, the more that these interviews trickle through. We're all going to hear stuff. We're all going to report what we can report. But yeah, who did you say? You said Saleh, you said Stafanski, you said Harbaugh.
Well, Harbaugh's number 1, but again, I think to your point about how likely is he coming to Nashville over other places, I think, and I know a couple of you in the comments have been asking about the Miami job and how does it complicate the Titans coaching search? Do they jump the Titans? I think a lot of like ranking the jobs against each other is really, really overrated. I think it's really overrated unless you are the number 1 candidate, unless you are John Harbaugh. And you can kind of look at all 7, 8, 9, whatever, how many jobs there are and say, I can pick where I want to go because they'll all hire me. Right. So I think there's for the one guy at the top of the list, I think that probably matters to Robert Saleh, Kevin Stefanski, and Brian Flores. I don't know. The problem is for Harbaugh, Baltimore might be the best job open or probably is the best job open. And I know they're interviewing Flores. So that just feels like a really good fit. I would have Harbaugh at 1. I would have Stefanski at 2. And I'm okay with Saleh or Flores, whatever order you want to put them in. Those would be my top 4 candidates, period. If you're then going to coordinators after that, I would probably go Chris Shula, Clint Kubiak as my top DC and my top OC, as like picking one from each column to some degree. Because then I think you can get right to Matt Nagy or Arthur Smith. Like, pick your top defensive coordinator with no head coaching experience. Pick your top offensive coordinator with no head coaching experience. Interview them both and think and see if they're ready. And if they're not ready, you can hire Matt Nagy or Arthur Smith anytime you want to, I feel like. Am I wrong on that strategically?
No, I think that makes sense. I think that you always have to know who's attainable, who's a guy that you can hire. And you should always, like, I'm not trying to describe Matt Nagy and Arthur Smith like they're safety schools, but in this situation, don't apply to a college worse than one you can get into.
Yeah, right.
Right. Like, if
I did not apply to anything below Auburn.
if you know you can get somebody, or you're fairly confident, and look, we're talking about Nagy as if it's a foregone conclusion. He's got 4 interviews set up.
Yeah,
he's interviewing with Baltimore. Like, if Baltimore offers him the job, that's different. Arthur, I haven't seen anybody else. Arthur Smith, I've only seen the Titans, and maybe there are more. Maybe I'm missing something. Let me know in the comments if I'm missing something. But yeah, we don't want to take for granted that, these guys will just automatically accept the Titans job. There's obviously got to be some wooing and maneuvering and all that stuff. But if Arthur's the guy, if Nagy's the guy, don't interview somebody who you like less than them.
Yeah, I agree.
Don't do that.
Well, I think they're already doing that. so they've already applied to MTSU. Please, no Arthur Smith, says Derek. I saw the exchange between Arthur and Aaron when the Steelers almost lost. I did not see that, but if you're disagreeing with Aaron Rodgers, you might be a really good coach. So it might be the opposite. While checking the boxes, how important is not boring? Asked Jason. Maybe that goes with Paul's alpha requirement. Some of these guys seem really dull. Don't think it matters at all. It doesn't matter at all. If you can inspire the locker room and lead people, doesn't matter how you talk to us in the press. I mean, do I prefer Brian Callahan over Mike Vrabel? Yes, it's easier to learn about the game and about the organization when you get answers like Brian Callahan gives. But Brian Callahan was missing all of the things that, made him a good coach. So how would you rank the 8 jobs? After I immediately said, let's not do that. How do we rank the 8 jobs that are open? Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, guys.
Off the top of my head, Baltimore, New York.
Here's the thing, Nick. You cannot do it.
I don't know.
You can't do it outside.
I don't know.
If you love the big city spotlight fishbowl thing, you want to be a star, then you value New York. Baltimore's the best job, period. After that, let's move away from that. But Tennessee, if you love low income taxes and a brand new stadium and a ton of cap space, and that's the thing you want, then Tennessee's a great job. If you want an established superstar quarterback, well, good luck with that. Maybe you love Kyler Murray. Do you want the number 1 pick because you love a guy in this draft? Well, maybe the Raiders is your value play there. You want a great defense to get started with. Cleveland is your spot. Like it all depends on what you value as a candidate. And there's a lot to offer in Nashville. People love living here. There's a lot of positives about the organization, but you have to like those positives and want to work with those positives.
And let me just clarify one thing. I am not putting New York ahead of these other places because I have the market size or because of the attention or media market. I've said before on the show, I believe there are 5 positions that matter in the National Football League. The Giants are set at left tackle. They are set at pass rusher. They have Malik Neighbors at wide receiver. They can re-sign a really good corner who's hitting free agency this year because they'll have first dibs on him. And we will see about Jackson Dart.
They're close. Yeah.
The Giants, roster-wise, have been built pretty well. They just need somebody who is going to take them to that next step. Versus the Titans, if you want to go through those 5 positions, we'll see about Cam. No knowledge of what's at receiver. Feel pretty confident about tackle. Defensive edge, they have nothing. Cornerback, they have nothing.
Well, and each
the roster teams, it's a big difference.
Each of these teams have like 2 out of 5. And they're different twos. Like if you want Myles Garrett, great. If you love Kyler Murray, awesome. If you like if you look at Atlanta and you think the skill players are the thing you want, which is ironic because Arthur Smith should want those pieces. So I agree. I think it's very difficult to rank all of these things. Hello, cat.
I'm sorry about how loud the cat's been, guys. This one will not stop screaming.
Yeah, it's all good. Let's see here. To to make an I think you should leave reference. Too many Titans fans, babies, don't think people can change. Retreads aren't a monolith. No, look how many. Bill Belichick is a retread. What are we talking about?
No, I would say look at the list of coaches who have won Super Bowls and look at how many of them were on their second job.
I mean, Andy Reid's a retread, right?
Yeah, Tom Coughlin.
John Harbaugh not.
Tony Dungy.
I have to go back and think through. I mean, Sean Payton, if they win this year, would be a retread, right? Yeah. So, okay. Anything else you want to add to this list? Is there anybody that's off the board that we haven't talked about? Jim Schwartz, I think, would be a great candidate for DC. I think Mike McDaniel will be a great candidate for OC. I don't think we've missed any candidates here. We didn't touch a ton on Raheem Morris. He was 17-31 for Tampa, and then 20-25. I think there's some candidates that are going to sneak up here. We haven't talked about Hafley. It's hard to explain why I don't think he is the right guy for the job. He's a very good defensive coordinator. I just, like Anthony Weaver, there's a few others. It just feels too big for that guy. Does that make sense?
I like Hafley for a lot of the same reasons that people liked Vrabel 7 or 8 years ago. And it's not what you think I'm going to say. It is proximity to the good football minds he's been proximal to. He has worked for Greg Schiano. He has worked for Urban Meyer. He has worked for Kyle Shanahan. He has worked for Matt LaFleur. He has been around a lot of really smart football coaches. He's been a head coach himself. Winning 7 games a year at Boston College is really difficult. His offenses were never very good. Winning 7 games a year at Boston College.
Wasn't Boston College in pretty good shape when he took over, though? I think that's like the one thing that was.
I don't know about really good shape.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I think that he obviously isn't the former player with that kind of behavior that Vrabel does. It's not a 1-for-1 comparison. It will never be a 1-for-1 comparison with Mike Vrabel. But when I look at a guy who has been thought of as competent enough to be hired, Schiano brought him to the NFL from Rutgers. They liked each other there. Urban and all those guys trusted him to coordinate the defense at Ohio State when Schiano left. He comes back to the NFL. He works with Shanahan. He comes back to the NFL. He works with LaFleur. That is a lot of pedigree. That is a lot of cosign on him. And more than the schemes and more than the success or lack of success of Green Bay's defense. I just like that pedigree.
I don't disagree. I don't think he is. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to explain. People in Green Bay are like, we love you as a coordinator. Good, like I think that's how he's viewed. And so I don't know. I think a lot. Here's the thing. Almost every coach that gets hired as a head coach for the first time in the NFL has been promoted beyond the point of competency. Most of them are great coordinators. Very few of them turn into great head coaches. So the probability of one of these guys being truly great is pretty small. I think the thing that Vrabel had that's hard to quantify is that command of the room, internal respect. There's a deep-rooted respect for a player who is so good and takes care of people the way he does. To a person, everybody on the Titans, to a person, all different types of personalities, had tremendous respect for the relationship they had with Mike Vrabel. That's a hard thing to do. That's a special individual that can do that. So, all right, you want to roll through these games real fast? Sinkers Beverages, everybody, this weekend, if you're watching games. For some reason, I am picking Oregon and Miami to play in the national championship game. I think Miami is going to try to do what they did to Ohio State and to Texas A&M, which is just be ultra physical with Ole Miss. And that might work. It should work, unless Trinidad Chambliss does Trinidad Chambliss things tonight. I don't know why you'd pick against Trinidad Chambliss, but I'm going to do it. Same for the other game, Nick. There's no reason to pick against Indiana. That you shouldn't pick against Indiana. There's nothing on paper that says Oregon's better than Indiana. I think Oregon's going to win.
I respect those opinions, and I vehemently disagree with the Oregon one. The Ole Miss Miami one, we'll see. That's a toss-up. That is a real toss-up game. Something that a friend of mine who is very good at both talking about college football and also betting on college football expressed to me that I think is going a little bit under-discussed is that Miami's base defense versus Miami's havoc defense are totally different things. Miami ranks number 1 in the country in creating havoc plays defensively. They are very, very bad defensively at things like tackling and when opponents get off schedule and when opponents run tempo and, things that Ole Miss can absolutely crush you with. So when it's base versus base, when it's Kejuan Lacey running straight up the middle, sure, you can probably expect Miami to tackle him for a loss. But when it's, hey, Trinidad, go make something happen, Ole Miss might actually have an advantage against that really, really, really strong Miami defense. So that'll be something worth watching.
The 3-play sequence of Chambliss in the third quarter where he rolls around and acts crazy and then backhands it to Lacey for a first down, then rolls around and does even more craziness and flips it to a receiver in the flat again, and then rolls right and hits, a 40-yard pass on a dime down the sideline. That is one of the most impressive three-play stretch I've ever seen in a situation like that against the Georgia defense. Look, there's no reason to pick against Trinidad Chambliss or Indiana. And for some reason, I feel like I need to do it. I don't know why.
Yeah, I've seldom seen a non-Nick Saban team steamroll the way that this Indiana team is steamrolling. Yeah. It's not fun to pick the steamroller, but they are never behind schedule. They do everything they want to do, and they always do it the way they want to do it. So I'm going to pick them.
No, I think that's the right thing. Again, that makes the most sense. In fact, we were on my college football show on Wednesday, and I had to text all my Indiana people and said, I'm about to pick Oregon. They're all like, thanks. Because that's what it is. Like they're still the same. Like everyone still has this same, like, well, I don't know. Can they do it? And it's like, all they do is beat the shit out of people.
Yeah.
Now look, Oregon is very, very, very good. They are great on offense. They're great on defense. They have NFL talent at every position group, and they've played Indiana, so they know what it feels like. So that's the one thing that I think that game is like 17-13, 6 minutes to go in the game. And it's going to come down to which one of the top 2 quarterbacks in the draft makes the big mistake or makes the big play. And we'll see what happens. So, yeah, it does look like I'm an Oregon fan. Jordan says Braden's all in with the hat and hoodie combination. Technically, this is not a Predators sweatshirt. This is not a Packers sweatshirt. It's not a Nashville SC sweatshirt. It's nothing from Pittsburgh, Nick. It is an FC Barcelona sweatshirt.
And if we're doing a fashion show, this is my Frasier t-shirt. Nice. And this is my Wayne's World hat. Like 90s comedy over here.
So
that's all I'm talking about.
European soccer and golf season. Have a day. Yeah. I don't know how to talk about Saturday night as a Packers fan because this is a rivalry where I have been on, like, this is the Ravens-Titans in the playoffs. Like, I have always been on the side of we have dominated this little franchise. We won a Super Bowl by making Jay Cutler quit in 2010 in the NFC Championship game. There's no fear of this team at all. And yet, I've watched the 2 games where Green Bay was significantly better and almost lost both of them and really should not have lost either one. One of the most insane games I've ever seen was the Chicago Bears game against the Packers a couple of weeks ago on Saturday night. I am ineligible to pick this game. I have no clue what's going to happen.
I'm going to take you back to 2012, I want to say it was. 2011, 2012. A very memorable playoff game went to overtime between the Denver Broncos and the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Bears are the Broncos and the Packers are the Steelers. Obviously the better team. We know who the better team is. But there's just something, there's some shamrock up Caleb Williams' ass right now. In a way, there was a shamrock up Tim Tebow's ass that year.
Wait, hang on. You think the Packers are clearly the better team?
Yeah. Not by talent for sure. By like actual playing on the field, no. But like, I think that
they were the better team in those 2 games.
Yeah.
The Bears are the better football team, especially without Micah Parsons.
Sure, you can factor that in. You have to factor that in. I think the difference here is that
Shamrock ass, huh?
The Bears do not play well for 3 quarters, right. And then they remember the game is about to end and play really well. That is not good football. That is Shamrock.
It's chaos. Yeah.
And
I
love
do
it.
love,
It's
I love
really
Kyle
fun to
Monangai.
watch.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah.
love Kyle Monangai and watching him run, though, dude. That's just, he is a fun player to watch run.
And what's the other Saturday game?
How about the Texans not being on Saturday at 4:30 or the Jags? That's right, Carolina. Come on down. A 10.5-point underdog at home. Even though you beat the Rams at home a few weeks ago in Charlotte, Bryce Young makes his debut.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Bryce Young, another player who really likes to show up when the game matters.
It's almost like these kids grew up playing video games.
The Rams.
Rams. Jags Bills on Sunday feels like an AFC Championship game to me. Eagles Niners on Sunday feels like an NFC Championship game. These are Sunday is delicious.
Yeah, that's a really good slate of games. I cannot believe we're talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars this way. This is really fun.
They're so good. They're so good.
This is really fun.
38 total touchdowns from Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, that's Trevor Lawrence. Actually, a fun trivia that is worth bringing up since we talked about both the Rams and very outside shot the Jaguars. Do you know who the last person to win MVP in the National Football League, not as a number 1 or number 2 seed in the playoffs, was?
I have no idea. Derrick Henry.
He never won MVP.
I know.
It was Adrian Peterson, his 2,000-yard year in 2012. It has been 13 years. The last time a quarterback won MVP without being a number 1 or number 2 seed was Peyton Manning in 2008, the year the Titans had the number 1 seed and the Colts were a wild card.
Right off the top of my head, I could argue that like my top 3 or 4 candidates are not 1 or 2 seeds this year. Like Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford might be my vote, but Trevor Lawrence is in there. Josh Allen's in there.
Justin Herbert deserves consideration for having no teammates,
no offensive line. Absolutely, none of those guys are the winner. This is I cannot, like, college football has started it, and I think the NFL is going to finish it with total chaos, literally. And now, of course, watch it just be like the Eagles and the Bills or some shit like that in the Super Bowl. But like I'm literally going like I'm picking the Rams and Texans. You know, like, and then you got New England. Why am I drawing a blank? Oh, New England and the Chargers on Sunday night, I believe, is the night game. And then you have Steelers and Texans. It is after the Panthers game. It is 5 straight just bangers in the NFL. And
Steelers Texans has a real this game's going to be 9-3 vibe to it. Can't really quantify why. Those teams really like playing in the mud, and we are going to see a true brawl. Yeah. That is going to be so much fun.
And both offensive lines, the Texans for sure are bad, but like even the Steelers aren't much better. And the quarterback for the Steelers, I don't know if you know this, not tremendously mobile anymore. They don't have, like, the running games aren't that great. Like it's gonna be a knockdown slugfest. I just like the Texans. They're playing such good football on defense right now. I think that tends to do New York Giants, Michael Strahan types of things in the playoffs, you know. So I kind of like the Texans potentially to come out of the AFC, which is wild to say out loud on a broadcast.
Yeah, the 2 hottest teams in the AFC right now are the Texans and Jaguars. It is.
I know. What world are we living in? This is the upside down. What are we doing? Have you started your drama?
Watching? No, I've been busy with work. What have I been watching recently? I've been rewatching. I recently got a DVD. Shout out Used Bookstore in Nashville. That's not a sponsor of the show. I got a DVD copy. I got a DVD copy of the Ben Stiller Show from back in the early '90s, and I've been making my way through the Ben Stiller Show.
I didn't even know he had one.
Yeah, it was a sketch comedy show. Him, Andy Dick, Janine Garofalo, and Bob Odenkirk.
Oh, those are good. That's a good cast.
Yeah, and Judd Apatow created the show. That's my shout out. That's what I've been watching. The Ben Stiller Show.
Ed Henry says Pluribus. It's on my list. I've got to watch it. I've got to watch Pluribus. The Beast in Me, which is Claire Danes and Matthew Rhys from The Americans. Great drama you need to put on the list. The Americans. He's like Jack Nicholson from The Shining in that show. It's like a limited run. I'm really getting into limited series where it's like 8 episodes and I'm done. I'm getting into that. And the Beast in Me, really good on Netflix. We just finished that. We just finished Slow Horses, 5 seasons on Apple. That's really good. Check that out as well. I have not watched Stranger Things season 5 yet. I am waiting until my family is not in my house so that I can drink some THC and turn my speakers up very loudly and binge the whole thing. I'm waiting for that.
Yeah,
So.
and for the 3 or 4 of you in the comments who are dropout pilled, I have been watching a lot of Game Changer. That is the other thing I have been watching.
Really?
It is the best.
Game Changer is the HBO NFL show?
No, you're not dropout pilled. It is a game show where it's a different game show every episode.
Gotcha.
It is just constant change and anarchy and chaos, and it's
so like Black Mirror, but for game shows.
Sure,
you don't know Black Mirror, do you?
No, I've watched some Black Mirror episodes.
Oh, okay.
But no, it is same host, just revolving cast and contestants, and it's one of the funniest experiences you'll ever watch.
Fascinating. Okay. All right. Anything else over the weekend? Do we think the Titans have a head coach before Senior Bowl on January 27th?
Right now, I am leaning yes. Okay. But I reserve the right to change that opinion.
Nope, never allowed. You're not allowed. When new information comes to light and new information is a thing, you have to stick with your old opinions. That's the way of the internet, Nick. That's what you have to do. Thanks to all of you for being in the comments, really active in the comments today. Really appreciate you guys. Please share the product. Give us a review on a podcast app. Share it on Twitter. Share it on YouTube. Notifications turned on. Please tell somebody about the show. I know there's been some chatter in the Twitter sewers about sort of the quality of the coverage of the Titans team, and I think a lot of complaining about sort of the, like the general discord and discourse on Twitter, which tends to be real low IQ, real dumb stuff. And I think you and I have talked about the people should be excited right now. I think there's copium, but also legitimate decisions are being made that will affect the future of the franchise, and there's good options here on the table. And if smart people make smart decisions, it will change the trajectory of the team for the better. And everyone should be excited about it. And I think most people on this show, when Kaharski and you come on and do a very thoughtful show about Tennessee Titans football, we get pretty good conversations and we have pretty good information. So
yeah,
I'll put our products up against anybody else's.
All I will say, if you are basing your consumption decisions on whether or not you like the personality of a journalist, no, I'm talking about the entire discourse from yesterday, which I'm going to pretend like I didn't see, but I saw. I'm lurking.
I actually didn't see until this morning, so I don't know all of it, but
I see what people are saying. Stop caring about who is saying what. Stop caring about palace intrigue among reporters.
Right.
I get along with everybody I've met, and I've seen almost everybody get along with almost everybody they know.
Ironically, go ahead. Sorry.
Stop caring. Care about your team. Care about the thing you actually care about. Right. Do not get invested in my life or any other. I'm not calling anyone out by name. I'm just saying don't get invested in anyone's life. Yeah. We don't matter. We cover something that matters to you. So let it matter to you and don't care about us. Our jobs, whether or not I have a job, should not matter to you.
Well, that's not. We have an audience that cares about you, man. Come on.
That's nice. It is nice to be cared for.
Yeah.
But on your list, like on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, Nick Suss's personal well-being should not be super high to you.
Well, I care about your well-being. Come on now. So here's the thing. Quickly, the Titans press corps gets along famously well. In fact, the only person that I've ever seen almost get in a fight is when PK stepped to my face like 7 years ago, and I was like, bro, you better get out of my face. Everybody likes each other. Everybody gets along great. And here's the thing. There's really good stuff in every format that you want. The national reporters for the national entities, which Teron Davenport and Nick Suss are, technically, they're both very good reporters. The local independent people, I think PK would qualify. John Glennon would qualify from that standpoint. There's pretty good reporters. If you like digital opinions, we've got a show here for you with me. You've got other guys putting on shows that I think do a pretty good job of that. Jim Wyatt is one of the best reporters ever. He's in-house. If you want in-house stuff, state-run radio, you can get that. Not having Mike Keith is a bummer, guys. It's a big bummer. He's a great human being and a great asset to the Titans community. He's gone. He's gone. But other than that, I think it's ridiculous to complain about how the quality of the information that's out there. If all you care about is how bad the conversation is on a social media app designed to piss you off, I feel like your frame of reference is a little off here. If you care about good quality content, you can get it all over the place, and they're informed and they're thoughtful and they care about the content and they care about the people.
consumers don't love being challenged in the way that they used to love being challenged.
Agreed.
And when you see information that doesn't confirm your opinions or your biases, it becomes more difficult to see it as direct truth. It is more like, well, why are they saying something that I don't believe? What is their motivation?
Yeah.
It is not, oh, this is what I believe. This is what somebody believes. That's cool information. And so a lot of the ire, as I perceive it, comes from people not wanting to be confronted with opinions they disagree with or information that doesn't match their opinions. And that's not saying that I'm some gigantic arbiter of truth. I am what I am. I do my job. I hope that people like more than they dislike. But I think Braden does a very good job. I think that most of the people on this beat are really good people who do their job really well. And I think we all need to stop caring so much about pecking order of who gets what and who has what and who's better than whom. We do our jobs well, and I'm proud of it.
No, I think that's right. I think that's right. Look, it's not a Titans problem either that people can't handle disagreement or the truth of the reality of the situation being maybe different from their perception. That exists in every walk of life. That exists in politics, in news. That exists like there is, and I point to the technology platforms that are designed to piss you off and designed to either confirm your biases or drive you nuts. That's what they do. That's how they function. That's how they make money, and it's how you get stickiness on those platforms. That is what it is.
And Eddie, you're right. I'm sorry for speaking in absolutes. That was a blanket statement. I am not saying that everybody behaves that way, but I do think that the erosion of wanting to be challenged has gone up. It is not exclusive, but it has happened.
Yep, that's right. That's correct. And look, we all just got to adapt. Fans, reporters, media, teams, coaches, players, everybody's got to adapt. All right. Thank you, Nick, as usual, man. Have a great weekend. Do you just is this your do you just sit on a couch all weekend? Is this your first non-traveling weekend?
Yeah. I'll leave it at this and then we'll log off. Ed, good comment there. You guys together would make a great sitcom. If you guys want to go see a good pinned tweet, check out my Twitter account. I don't think I've mentioned it directly on this show, but I don't know if I've mentioned it directly on the show, but over the last calendar year, my wife and I made a sitcom together.
You did. It's great.
Braden has seen it. It is live. Very good. It is live on YouTube. Go check it out.
My favorite is the guy with speaking of technology, my absolute favorite is the gentleman who has a contraption to hold the phone right in front of his face.
Yes.
It's so good. It's so good.
If Ed, thank you for watching it. I appreciate that. If you guys do want to check it out, it's about 35 minutes long. It's a passion project, and I am writing more scripts for a lot of different things. And I like making sitcoms and sketches and little jokey things. So if you want to go watch that, that's my plug.
Yeah, there you go.
Find yourself some time. Watch a sitcom that I love.
Awesome stuff, Nick. Always a pleasure, my guy. Enjoy everybody out there. The playoffs this weekend, 5 straight nights of dramatic and entertaining football. It's going to be great. I cannot wait. So otherwise, you guys have fun. Stay tuned to all the Twitter feeds. PK and Nick, of course, will have lots of information as it unfolds for the coaching search and hopefully some thoughtful and nuanced conversation around the Tennessee Titans. I think we'll do just fine. Go Packers, Sinkers Beverages, and everybody have a good one. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you on Monday.